essay questions. It's all just computation and multiple choice. So I'll tell you how to do all of the calculations on here. They're really not too bad. Like I said, we're not putting any of these in our TI because it'll take way too long. So we're looking at a histogram, and they ask which is the most appropriate measure of center and variation. So I'm going to come here to my StatCrunch data set, and I'm going to graph what they want me to do. Median salary. I'm going to graph the histogram with my median salary. Mark my mean and my median. I'm just going to get something that looks like that. In this case, they're going to say it's symmetric because it's not going to be skewed. You don't have a peak on one side and a tail on the other side. So they're going to say it's fairly symmetric for this one when you actually graph it, right? So when you come back here to your choices, it's symmetrical. So it's either going to be, in this case, A or D. And then from there, if it is symmetric, do you want to use the mean and the interquartile range or the mean and the standard deviation? It's definitely the mean, because that's the only option they have. But then for our measure of dispersion, do we want to use the interquartile range or the standard deviation if it's symmetric? Standard deviation, that's the popular one, so we'll go ahead and use that one. The only time we wouldn't be able to use that one would be if it was skewed. If it's skewed, that's going to kind of throw off the standard deviation. It's going to kind of overinflate it a little bit. So if that's the case, if it is skewed, we would want to use the interquartile range because it's resistant. But we don't have to worry about resistance here because it is symmetric. So that's how you'll do this one. Okay, and then they ask you, what's the median salary? Oh, sorry, the mean median salary for these 100 dealership locations. So here, if you go back to your StatCrunch data set, we're going to go under stat and summary stats to find these things. So most of them, this is the steps we're going to take. So number 2 for now, we're going to go to stat, summary, stats, and then we're going to select columns. Because all of our data is organized in columns, not in rows. So we want to look at columns. And then it's going to come up here and they say which column do you want to look at and what measure do you want us, or what statistic do you want us to give. So in this case they want us to do the median salary. So up here I would select median salary, and down here I would pick all of the statistics that I could possibly want. So the things that we've talked about. And if you want to, for this one, just go through and select all of them, and then you'll have them all in a nice little box. You can do control-click to pick more than one. So if you do mean, and control-click to get your median too. I don't think they ask you for the 5-number summary. You can do your interquartile range, and you can do your standard deviation. Just select as many as you want. Then when you compute it, they're going to put all of them up here in a little box for you. You've got your mean, your median, your interquartile range, your standard deviation. The hard part about this one is it's the mean median salary. So you're looking at the column median salary, and then for that column you're finding the mean. So they've got 2 of them listed. You're really just finding the mean for that one. So once you have it, just look at that box, take that number, and put it in, and that's going to be your answer. So whatever that happens to be.
So are you looking at the mean or the median?
The mean for that one.
Okay.
It's the mean of the column that is titled median salaries.
Okay.
And so, yes.
So like when we do the summary stats, we just make sure to click on mean, so that would be
Yes.
a number. Okay.
Yes. So, forget what you. mean, median, IQR, and standard deviation. I think that's the only ones you'll need. So that'll be for number 2 and number 3, because now 3 is asking you for the standard deviation, which you could, again, just get from this number right here. So take that number, put it in here, still the same. One, and then they ask you for the median salary. So under the column median salary, what is the median of it? So if your column is median salary, you'll find the median, and then that's the number that you'll type in. That's number 4. So whatever the median in that box happens to be, type that number in as well. These aren't the right numbers, by the way. I'm making up that stuff. And then they ask you for the interquartile range. So again, if you click IQR, they'll tell you what the interquartile range is. You just take that number and put it in here. This is number 6. Number 6, we're going to create a box plot and using the IQR rule to determine whether there are any dealerships that sold an unusually large or small number of vehicles last year. We're just looking right now at the shape of the distribution based on this box plot, but now we're looking at number of vehicles sold, so we have a different column than we had before. So with this one, when we go into StatCrunch, we're going to go to graphs. Now we'll go to graph and select box plot. Box plot, and then you select your column. For this one, they're looking at, was it number of vehicles sold? Yeah, number of vehicles sold. And then it'll give you your box plot, but down here under your other options, you'll probably want to click on both of those. So other options, click on both of them where it says fences and horizontally. For some reason, if you don't click this one, it looks like this, and it's like on its side, which is really weird. So if you do it where you select this one where you drop horizontally, then that's going to be horizontal now instead of vertical. And so now you've got this shape here. You can tell this whisker is wider, and we have an outlier over here, so it's going to be skewed to the right. For that one. On the graph, and then it says, are there any outliers in this sample? Well, yes, there are, because we found this dot right here. So, and there's only one of them. We have to figure out which one it is. So for number 7, on box plot, there is an outlier to the right, which means it's going to be a large number, not a small number. We have to figure out what that large number is. And so what I'm going to do, we're looking here at number of vehicles sold. So here. So if you have number of vehicles sold, so if we look just at this box and then all of the numbers below it, if you kind of hover over it, it's going to have a little arrow key that you can select right there. So if you go over it, see you've got this little arrow key and you can select right there. You do a bunch of different things. What I would do in this case is sort table descending. You could do ascending, but then you'd have to scroll to the bottom. And I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to sort it descending, so my largest number is at the top. Sort it descending. And then if you look at the number at the very top, it's 2407. That's the largest number you see, and that happens with dealership number 33. So if you come back here, dealership number, sorry, 337. Is it 337? Yeah, dealership 337. So here, dealership number 337 sold an unusually, in this case, it's going to be large number of vehicles, not a small number, because it's larger than all of the other ones. That's what you'll select for this one. And then it says, for number 8, it's looking at how many dealerships in this data set have an annual sales greater than or equal to 100 million. So this is another one where you just have to sort it descending. So we're looking at annual sales. And it's going to be an integer because you're counting. So if you come back here, not there, here. If you look at annual sales, again, it has this drop-down menu, and we're going to, again, sort it descending because we want to find the higher numbers. So for number 8, we've got annual sales. If you hover, you get this little drop-down menu, and again, you're going to sort it descending. You could, like I said, do ascending if you want, but I don't want to look at the bottom. So if you do that, they all look like 1 point something, and that's just because there's not room for them to write the whole thing. So if you take this out and you expand it a little bit, then you can see what the whole thing looks like. There's an E8 right here behind it. So what that means, if you take the first one, it's 1.2043885. And the E8 means we're going to move it 8 decimal places, so we'll move it over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0 here. And so when we do that, here's a comma, and so it's 120 million, which is greater than 100 million. So basically what we're looking at with this one, whenever they have e to the 8, this number in front of here is going to be higher than 100. So all of these are going to count. This one is still technically going to be more than 100 million. This one would not be, because it's 99,982,000. So it's 99, starts with 99 million, it doesn't quite make 1 million altogether. So only these ones that start with a 1 point something are going to count as the ones that are greater than 100 million. So if you look here, this is the 31st entry. So there's 31 numbers up here that are greater than 100 million. So for that one, you would just type in a 31. Here.